Day, I think.
Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. Need a dose of the real, life's absurd, we know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown upside down, down, upside.
Well, that thing going upside down always kind of makes me dizzy, Ralph.
It does, yes. It's kind of like log rolling. It turns you upside down.
Indeed. Well, Ralph, it's getting close to Christmas. We can see it, the evidence of it, outside of our houses. Here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, we've got snow.
We've got snow, and we also have a lot of outside Christmas lights and other decorations, inflatable snowmen and Santa Clauses. And
that's a new one in the last 10 years or so, those big inflatable ones, right?
It is, yeah. And, one of the things, Jim, that is interesting to me is Christmas as we know it, with the celebration with evergreen garlands, Christmas trees, singing of Christmas carols, and so on. All of that goes back to pagan times. Because before the birth of Christ, which we Christians believe, there was a celebration by the pagans of the winter solstice. Now, the winter solstice is December the 25th or 21st. And
longest night of the year, shortest day.
Shortest day.
But then after the solstice, we get more and more longer days. Right? Yeah.
And so we say, okay, well, this is wonderful. This is, it is the shortest day of the year, but from here on in, things get better. And we had, so the winter solstice, the Romans had Saturnalia, which was a harvest festival. There was the German and Norse Yule, and that had the Yule log, which gave us 12 days of Christmas because it was a log that was supposed to burn for 12 days. And then there was Mithraism, which was a sun god, and that was celebrated on December 25th.
Okay, so it all kind of comes together on December 25th, our Christmas day.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Christmas for this year and the years when you and I were kids, Ralph, that there'd be a run-up to Christmas.
Yeah.
It started, maybe at Thanksgiving when you and I were kids. It starts now about, Labor Day?
Right after Halloween, we
sure.
see Christmas decorations available in the stores for sale.
Yeah. So people have been kind of gearing up for this wonderful season, the most wonderful time of the year, right?
Right.
Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But for some people, it isn't the most wonderful time. Pardon me. But for a lot of us, we ask, what is the psychology behind Christmas? Well, at Christmas, we are often generous. We're often altruistic. We open doors for people. We smile. We engage in pro-social behavior.
We say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And, one of the things that political correctness now says is you don't say Merry Christmas, you say Happy Holidays. But my take on it is I still say Merry Christmas. Old habits die hard.
Well, we were getting our coffee this morning at the gas station, and the manager there said she hated Christmas. And then we talked to her a little bit about it, and she, it's not that she hates Christmas. She was hating the commercialism of it and spending money. And she said, we've lost sight of just what Christmas is all about. And, This year, right now, this year is the 60th anniversary of the Peanuts Christmas uh, story.
Oh, yeah. And that, after 60 years, that's still a
Going
available and still wonderful. What, 30-minute, I think it is, Christmas
strong. Yep.
TV celebration.
Yeah, and Charlie Brown was down. He was, kind of depressed. And he said to Linus, I don't know the meaning of Christmas. And Linus recites from the Christmas story the meaning of Christmas. So, if you think about Christmas, Ralph, the first 5 letters of Christmas should give you a clue as to what it's all about.
Yeah. And,
We won't spell it out for people.
No.
They can figure it out.
One of the interesting things, Jim, is that, as I said in the beginning, a lot of our traditions, holly, mistletoe, wreaths, evergreens, these all go back to pagan times.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they have become incorporated into our Christmas festivities.
Yeah. So, hey, it says something good for the pagans, right?
Right.
Okay. Speaking of pagans, Ralph, I was thinking about Christmases long ago when you and I were kids,
Right.
or teenagers. Christmas was a time when, we didn't have to go to school. We could hang out with our friends for long periods of time. And it was really special when we became college students, because the people that we had not seen since, probably late August, came back to our little town of Sault Ste. Marie, and we were able to, hang out and find out what's going on at Brown University. That's where Wilkinson, what was his first name, John?
John, yeah.
Okay, that's where he went, I think. And what was happening at Peter Black's university. I think Davy Johnson, he was at Harvard.
Yeah.
I was at Michigan State, you were at CMU. And we could, compare notes as to, what we were doing and what was fun.
And, some of the things like going from Central and Mount Pleasant down to Lansing was quite relatively easy to do, but going to the East Coast or the West Coast or out into Nova Scotia, those were a lot harder to reach out and you have to remember now we're
so
talking,
our friends were the bridge there, right?
Yeah, and we're talking now about long before cell phones and the internet and so on. Mm-hmm. So you had no way of keeping in touch.
Yeah.
So getting back to actual reality of facing a person who is in a whole different world and saying, what's it like at Acadia, or what's it like at University of Toronto?
Yeah. And, so that kind of comes into something else. We might be kind of nostalgic and talk about, what a great Christmas it was in Miss Webb's kindergarten, where we made our first Christmas card.
Yeah, and
my camel looked like a demented horse.
and I learned how to make a snowflake by using scissors that didn't have either a point or an edge.
We were, wanted to be safe with you, Ralph. Yeah. So, there's that part of it. So we could talk about Christmases long ago. And our parents would talk about their Christmases also.
And, the thing is, Jim, that one of the interesting things about those Christmases is we had the exchanging of gifts the way they do now, but the gifts were much less oriented toward money and much more oriented toward something made or something that was not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, for example, my father giving my aunt what was called a flat 50. Now, a flat 50, nobody will know that today. It was a
Benjamin Franklin $50 bill, right?
No.
Oh.
It was a tin can, flat,
Uh-huh.
laying side by each were 50 cigarettes.
Oh, dear.
So 2.5 packages of cigarettes.
Uh-huh. Well,
But that was, that was a relatively speaking significant gift.
uh-huh. Yeah, that would cost $30 today.
Yeah, and back in the day, it was probably
$2.
$3 as opposed to 2.5 packs, which might be
Yeah.
$1.50. But still, it was significant, and I always liked it because after she smoked all the cigarettes, my aunt would give me the tin can.
Oh, just what you wanted, right?
Right, yeah.
just, hey, I've got a tin can.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a lump of coal. Okay. So, yeah, we remember those gifts. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes the gifts don't last beyond about noon, and sometimes they don't last in our memories much longer than that either. But I can remember 2 gifts that I got when I was 9.
Okay,
From my parents, I got a chemistry set.
right.
And from my uncle, Uncle Bob, I got another chemistry set. And so with those 2 chemistry sets, I was ready to rule the world. Man, I
Yes.
had everything in those vials. You know what they had? Potassium nitrate.
Yes,
What was it? Steel shavings,
steel shavings,
sulfur.
sulfur.
Guess what I had, Ralph?
You had the
Gunpowder.
Yes, gunpowder, black gunpowder. Actually, black gunpowder is kind of gray, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I was able to make explosions in the basement, and
And
it was great.
I had a chemistry set when I was about that age, and my cousin who was playing with the chemistry set with me, there was a Bunsen burner that was part of the chemistry set, and he knocked it over,
Uh-huh.
and he set the curtain of the basement window
On fire.
on fire.
Of course.
And the 2 of us ran upstairs. And I ran to my mother and said, basement, basement, fire, fire, fire.
You're so articulate.
Yes. And
She figured it out.
she figured it out. And my dad ran downstairs and yanked down the curtain and stomped it out. And,
I know your father. It's lucky you didn't get stomped out.
well, I did later on. I got the chemistry set back in July.
The interesting thing, the chemistry set I got from my parents came from England. The chemistry set from my Uncle Bob came from the United States. It was a Gilbert chemistry set. It was relatively safe. The one from England was full of deadly stuff. I loved it.
You could make poison gases and gunpowder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing they taught me how to do was to make a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
And out of a mason jar. And then if you had a fire, you throw it in the mason jar. And, well, you only want to do that once because then you've got glass all over the place. And it's, so you learn. Let's see, how many times later did you light the curtains on fire?
Never.
Okay, so one trial learning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the psychology part of it
Yeah.
for today. But something else that was, fun, if you think about it, some of the rituals. One of the rituals that the older folks had was to go to a pub in town called the Vic, the Victoria House, and they would meet up with old friends and perhaps drink a few beers more than they should. But we youngers got to get into that tradition too, because as we came back from college, we would oftentimes be invited with our elders to come and have a pitcher or have a glass at the Vic. So the Vic became a kind of a Christmas tradition.
Yes. And, I'm sure that almost every town, certainly every town in Canada, has a pub that is like that. And probably in the U.S., there are lots of communities where there's still the acknowledged gathering place for Christmas.
Yeah. Would that be The Bird here in Mount Pleasant?
I think so.
Probably.
The Bird is traditionally the place for the homecoming parade attendees, not the members in the parade, to gather before the parade, and then they go outside and watch the parade go by.
Yeah, that's earlier. But yeah, I'd say that probably is the place. Well, one of the things that's different is that now towns are not kind of centralized. They go on for forever.
Yeah.
So, living in the Sioux, it was pretty much a single community. We didn't have a lot of suburbs when you and I were growing up, at least.
Yeah, and one of the things that was happening at that time was there were probably other groups of elders and college kids who went to different pubs. But for the group that we knew, the Vic was the gathering spot. Now, I'm sure that everybody could say, well, our place was such and such. Well, the thing is that today, I think, for maybe a lot of college students, alcohol is no longer the thing. We know that there are fewer teenagers and early 20s people who are drinking alcohol. Maybe there are more who are using other substances.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think of people, going to one of the 17 cannabis joints we have in town and singing Christmas carols. I mean, just,
Yeah.
The Christmas carols were kind of interesting, too. I mean, we had the standards that we loved, but we also had chipmunks roasting on an open fire. You couldn't do that any time of the year, just only at Christmas.
Yeah.
Or what was the one from Pogo? Deck
Nor
the
it's-
halls with boughs of holly.
Nor
Norman
it's freezing on the trolley.
yeah. And so, we knew the songs, and they were songs that our parents even knew. Nowadays, when I hear some of the Christmas songs, if I can understand the words, I really don't know the song, itself.
Yeah.
But one thing that used to be fun, Ralph, I think you and Fred Masson and I did this a few times. And that was to go to the Catholic Church for midnight mass.
Yeah, and
No.
that was back in the day when the Catholic Church still used the Latin Mass.
Yeah, we had not a clue as to what was going on, nor did we have much of a clue as to the songs that they were singing. But it was freedom. We got to stay out until after midnight.
Yeah, you'd come home and my mother would say to me, "Where were you? It's
I was
almost
at-
1 o'clock."
I was at church, Mom.
Yeah,
You were?
I went to Mass. Oh, okay.
Yep. So that was our ecumenicalism, right?
Right.
Yeah. But it was interesting, getting to see like a different side of the Sioux.
Yeah.
For 364 days of the year, Sacred Heart Cathedral was there, but we had not a clue as to what was going on.
Oh, and not much interest, to
Yeah,
be
right,
honest.
to be honest.
But,
But-
Christmas Eve, Mass, midnight,
Yeah.
Something.
Something else I remember, that is sampling the foods of other families. In our case, we were really big on shortbreads. That's the Scots coming through, I think. But there were other people who had, like a Polish sauerkraut kind of thing that they would eat.
Yeah, and
Ray Mohansky's family had, Finnish treats that were really, really good.
yeah, and not only the sweets, but you all know how you make a Finnish salad. You start by frying up about a dozen sausages.
Well,
So the thing is, we had that. Like at my house, we had Christmas cakes.
Yeah.
And we had two kinds. We had the dark kind and the light kind.
Right. We
Now,
did too.
The dark kind, my mother would make, about September sometime.
Uh-huh.
And they would go down the basement wrapped in foil and put in a cake tin.
Uh-huh.
And periodically, about starting once a month and then getting a little more regular, my dad would go down and he'd pour some rum or some brandy over the dark fruitcakes. And by the time Christmas rolled around, you could get stoned like a statue eating 6 pieces of fruitcake.
Okay. We're coming, our brave little band. On the right side of temperance, we do take our stand. We don't use tobacco because we do think that the people who use it are likely to drink. And it goes on with fruitcakes and various
all
kinds of cookies.
stuff. Yeah.
Well,
And, the thing is that what we haven't really touched on so far with a lot of nostalgia, and this is one of the things that I think is very important in Christmas. For a lot of people, Christmas is the nostalgia season.
yeah. Well,
And-
we just did that, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
And people look back on their childhood, their youth. They remember what they got for Christmas when they were 9. They remember
The burning curtains.
Yeah, and my father and my Uncle Earl playing with my electric train when I came downstairs at 3 in the morning. And all kinds of stuff like that. But the other thing, I mean, there's all kinds of positive, wonderful memories.
Yes. But
There's
you're gonna go someplace
also
else.
people who find Christmas depressing and unhappy making.
Yeah. And we've talked a little bit about that in terms of like comparing you with somebody else. Comparing is that really a
Comparing,
word? Comparing, yeah.
there were people that I knew who had, it seemed, more money than Carter had liver pills, and their Christmases were very elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were people who, believe it or not, in Sault Ste. Marie were quite indigent, quite poor.
Frugal, poor. Okay.
And, they had Christmas and they enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. So,
Most of them.
as Linus says, Christmas is not the toys; it's the reason for the season.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk in our next episode, and actually, we're going to put that episode together in just a few minutes, and we'll put it up on I think December the 27th, and that's going to be an episode on fighting the Christmas blues.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a fine thing. But in the meantime, keep.
This is Jim
And Ralph,
saying,
keep your stick on the ice because
we're all in this together.